and my time those are.
Right.
But what I've done, I've tried to find out when the football club started.
Yeah.
And as far as I can make out, it started in 1901.
Yeah.
But before that, the football club in Bampton, there was another team in Bampton before Bampton, and it used to be called Wheeled Swifts.
Right. Yes, I thought it was the Wheeled Swallows, but it's the Wheeled Swifts.
No, Wheeled Swifts.
Yeah.
And
grew up to be swallowed.
and they sort of run for about 2 years when Bampton started up, then they amalgamated into Bampton team.
Yeah.
There's a photograph here. I don't know when that was, but that's when it because
Is that the first photograph you've got?
yeah, the Bampton Football Club started up in 1901, but Bampton Football Club then was one of the founder members, I have found that out, of the Whitney District Football Association,
Right.
which started up in 1908.
Yes. Okay, but you were already in existence by then.
The club was going by then, yeah. There's a Dr. Wood that used to live in Bampton, was one of the, and a Dr. Gordon. They were the two people that started the club up. Now this picture is 1920, and I got a feeling there's two of my uncles in this.
Oh yes.
Because I've got one up in the loft, and it's round about the same time as this, and it's two of my mum's brothers actually.
Yeah.
And they both emigrated. Well, one went to New Zealand when they come back after the First World War. One went to Australia, one went to New Zealand.
Right.
But we just lost contact with them.
Father-in-law, had he still been alive, would have been 106, because he is the same year. His age was the same as the year, in fact.
Oh yeah,
he was
1900.
So he used to play football for Bampton. So that has to go back to.
Yes, and he'd be a teenager, presumably.
See, he might well be on.
Yeah.
That was Jack, wasn't it?
He was a green, yeah, one of the greens.
But there was 3 or 4 of the greens in that, in the Bampton team.
Yes.
So
you've got the Greens and the Radbands. What are
no,
they?
it was the Prestons. My mother's maiden name was Preston.
Oh, right.
And there's some Saunders in there.
Yeah.
What was the oldest one? Percy.
Saunders and Percy Saunders.
Yeah. They're in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But as I say, the football club was. They started up after the war, when the boys come back from the war and what have you, in 1947.
Yes, so that's later. That's
after the war.
Yes.
But I know no more before the war. You know.
Yeah. So
I know
after the war, it sort of gains momentum. It starts up.
Yeah.
Does it? Yeah.
Well, it started up, and I've done a list of names. I'll go through here. This is people that was playing for Bampton when I was sort of 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
Is George Brooks, Tony Allen, Peter Allen, George Brooks, Dan Long, Pussy Dafter, Alf Smith, Red Smith, Bob Batts, Brian Lawrence, Bill Preston, Freddie Batts, Van Dyke. Now I've got Van Dyke here, and he used to be the gardener at the Broad Street Manor.
Oh yes.
Because when Munster first come there, he had all foreign people there.
Oh, did he?
And
so
Van Dyke was a Dutchman, as you know, and he played for Bampton. He was about 6'6" tall. He was massive.
Yeah.
And he went and set up his own business. I can remember that because he got 2 daughters my age.
Yeah.
And they went to set up a business in Evesham, growing and that. And then there's Mike Irons, Pat Irons, Bob Curtis, Alan Gover, Freddie Rouse, Arthur Beckley, Aubrey Collett, George Bishop, Norman Craddock, Vernon Cannons, Harry Green, Russ Law, John Marston, Bill Jackson, Joe Sweetingham, John Sweetingham, Jim Sweetingham, Cyril Smith, Kenny East, Frank Hudson, Richard Money, Pete Buckingham, Percy Dixie, Michael Benedicts, myself, Freddie Mildnall, Les Whitlock, Philip Horn and Jack Morton.
There's a lot of names there I recognise, the family names are still
Yeah,
around.
I mean, quite often this Jack Morton, he writes back to the Bampton Beam.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, because I don't know where he lives, but he does write back there.
So he's kept contact. Pussy Dafter. Now,
Pussy
is that
Dafter.
George Dafter? It was. He was
George Dafter's brother.
Oh, George Dafter's
yeah,
brother.
when he got married, his wife didn't like the name Dafter,
Yeah.
so she turned it to Damford.
Oh, right.
And his name was Audley Damford.
Right.
But originally he was Audley Dafter.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was George's brother.
And that was George's brother.
Yeah, that was George's
George.
brother, yeah.
He was the postman, wasn't he?
Yeah.
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 And another one that was in it was Jack Lawrence.
That's a name I know.
Yeah,
It's
you
something
see.
to do with Ted Dixie. Didn't his
No.
sister marry a Lawrence? Or am I wrong there?
No,
it's a
no.
Lawrence Dixie. I'm getting it totally muddled.
No, it's Jack Lawrence used to be head of civil engineering in a signal camp,
signal
didn't
camp.
he?
Was
For
he?
donkey's years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But that was the chaps who paid. But when they first
That-
came back after the war, they had no playing field, did they?
No, that's another thing. We had the first field I can remember Bampton playing in was at the back of Robert Colville's Lake.
Yeah.
And then they got into trouble because the field wasn't quite big enough to have the pitch long enough. So then they went from there to the second field past the police station going out of Bampton on the left hand side.
Yes.
They had that field off John Henley.
Yeah.
And then they went from there they had a field off Charlie White, which is now where Rupert Goody got his greenhouses.
Yeah.
There was a football pitch there. I think that must have been there for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And then we went to Mr. Rouse's field at the top of New Road,
Yeah.
and we had that for about 3 years.
That's about where I joined in. Yeah.
Yeah, we had that for about 3 years, and he stopped us playing there because he caught some of the boys playing on a Sunday.
Oh,
And he's banned football, so he kicked us out of the field.
that's very interesting.
Yeah.
He was very strict.
And then we had the field where we are now at Buckland Road. We rented it off of Percy Shepherd for 2 seasons, 2 or 3 seasons. And Percy died,
Yeah.
and his estate had to be split between his son and 3 daughters.
That's Edie Quick is one of his daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Weston was another one. And Pat Shepherd, she married an electrician in Bryce Norton. And she was the other 3rd daughter, and then there was Stan, who ran the business when his dad died. It used to be just down the Buckland Road before you get to Fisher's Bridge on the right hand side. It used to be there and just have a few cows and that. Then when Percy Shepherd died, as I said, the estate had to be sold up, and we sort of had we had to get out the field,
Yeah.
but we also had the chance to buy it. And Mick, Jack Lawrence, George Dafter and myself, we got together and we arranged to buy it, and we were the 4 original trustees that bought the field. And we went to Phyllis Colville, who was very elderly in those days. That was Robert. That's Robert Colville's mother.
Robert Cole's mother. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Major Colville had died, and Phyllis Colville. Robert used to live there with his mother in Weald Manor before he got married. And we went to her and we told her all about it, and she was very sympathetic with us and got more Allen and Innocent we bought the field from.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Tell me what it cost.
£1,650.
I was going to say 1,600.
And that must have been
£1,650.
Was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the 4 of us was only sort of working class people, and we put our names to paper to guarantee that money, and she gave us 1%.
Yes, it was a proper loan where we were going to pay interest on the loan in the normal way.
From her, yeah.
But she was so pleased with how efficiently we paid it back that with about 6 months to go, she contacted us and said, "I don't require any interest. You paid it back, so so easily. Well, not easily, but so willingly. Then you know that.
Yeah.
Isn't that fantastic?
I'll forgo the interest. Yeah.
She was
so,
really helpful and really generous.
So she lent us the money. We paid back the money. There was never any interest or anything on it.
No, no.
And how long did it take you to pay it back?
Not very long.
About less than 2 years.
Yeah.
Less than 2
Fantastic.
years.
Yeah.
Because Mick and his wife ran the bingos every week on a Friday night. Mick and myself and Jack Lawrence. Did you come to St Aldate's police station with us?
Yes,
yeah. We went on Radio Oxford.
Yeah.
And then we went to the St Aldate's police station in Oxford, which was the Ed Thames Valley police station at the time in Oxfordshire.
Yeah.
We went there and we got a permit from them to do a door-to-door collection on this, and we done a door-to-door collection and we raised 600 and something. About £640.
We had one or two that weren't quite so.
There was 5 people in the whole of Bampton that refused to give us anything, and only one of them is still alive these days.
Well, are you going to tell us the other 4? You're going to name and shame?
No. I'm not going to tell you the other 4. When I packed up being secretary, it was actually a note in one of the photo albums saying who the 5 was, but thank God it got burnt. I didn't realise, because when I packed up in mid-1970s, I handed over to Ted Harding, and he'd done it for a while. Then he had an heart attack and died, and his wife burnt everything because she didn't want him to do it, see?
Oh, that is a terrible story.
But anyhow, that's getting...
She burnt the complete history of the football club,
Did
basically.
She? Yes, that's terrible. I've
Just
heard
by-
of that happening.
Just by not wanting anything around the house, I suppose, she just got rid of it.
2 sets of kit, everything.
But let me tell you, this is why we have the museum now, because we don't want that kind of thing. We want our history preserved, really.
Well, we, as I said, we collected about £640 at door to door, which was fantastic because a lot of elderly people just give us a threepenny bit, and I mean that was quite a bit of money in the early 60s.
Going back to these 5, what were the reasons they gave for not supporting?
They all had different reasons. One person told you and me he wouldn't. He associated it with begging, didn't he?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we were, of course, also taking over a field that previously had been used
But
for
some
farming.
farmers wanted in Bampton.
In fact, there were people in Bampton that wanted it for that reason.
We're going to come to that story, aren't we?
Yeah, there was farmers that wanted it, and we sort of took it. Mrs. Colville, because the original price was about £1,200, but Mrs. Colville upped it to make sure that we got it.
Yes, I see.
And that's how in the end we
paid
a bit over the top for the field. In those days, just to get it, you know.
Because you were competing with the farmers.
Would have been,
Yeah,
they were approached out of it before we started all that.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you one person that we bought the field, and George Daftdays being the postman and knowing everybody and everybody liking him, Kentminster said to him one day, "I want to buy your football field." And George stuttered it out and said that he'd have to be with the trustees. So the four trustees that bought the field, Mick, Jack, George and myself, we went there.
That was to Bampton Manor, that was?
To Bampton Manor, Broad Street Manor, And we went in there, and his butler, Bunce, Henry Bunce, he gave us whiskey, everything we wanted. And Count Munster walked in with some papers under his arm with his wife, and he said he's not going to beat about the bush, he wants the football field, you sign this. And we said no. And he ordered us out the house.
Pretty well, yes. Yeah.
He ordered us out the house, we hadn't been there 20 minutes, and Count Munster ordered us out the house and told Henry Bunce to take the drinks from us.
That is an extraordinary story.
So, I mean,
I think that was very brave of you. Because he was the lord of the manor, as it were. And in those days there was a lot of deference, wasn't there?
Yeah.
So it was very brave.
I mean, and the one that told us he wouldn't give nothing because it was begging was actually playing for the village 2 years before we went round.
Yes.
As a footballer, he's the only one that's still alive.
Yeah.
But the others are all dead now, so.
Yes. But of course it isn't begging because it's not for yourself.
It's not begging because we had a permit to do it, you know.
Yes, but also you're doing it for the community.
It was for the village.
Yeah.
This was our big worry when the club packed up 3 years ago. They folded the club up, they disbanded it, and Mick and myself were the only 2 trustees that was alive at that time. So we co-opted 2 more trustees in, which was Mick Dowley and Stuart Bampton. And we were actually legally bound to meet the debts.
Yeah.
So we had to start the club up again 3 years ago, or sell the field. There's nothing, no option, was it?
That was the only end product. Would have been the only end product, anyhow.
We're jumping time a bit. Let's have a little bit of history. After you bought the field, let's just hear about the success story, because I know it was a very successful club, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, successful in terms of the community, but it's successful as a footballing team, wasn't it? Really?
Well, Bampton played in what was classed as junior football, which is village type football in those days. Every village had a football team. The Hellenic League and those sort of things were really for the big boys. All of the local teams played in the Whitney and District League, and Bampton basically, in a period of about 10 years, won everything there was to be won. Sometimes 2 or 3 times over in that 10 years.
That's in the mid-40s to the mid-50s?
No, you're really now sort of 20 years on. This is after we bought the field.
Yeah.
This photograph I've got here is the first youth type team that we started up in 1956, 57. And as some of them was almost 18 at the time, this is roughly about 3 years later, the youth side. And we then won the Whitney and District Youth League, the Whitney and District Youth Cup, the Oxfordshire Youth Shield, that's the whole of Oxfordshire, and we beat Morris Motors Apprentice in the final. And the kit there we're in there, we won that for winning 18 games on the trot with the Daily Mirror.
Super.
On that one I've actually wrote that we won this, I got this kit presented. I think that was just before you,
before my time.
just before you come.
Yeah.
At that time we were actually playing in Mr. Rouse's field at the top of New Road.
Yeah.
So that was the original start of the success, because that team there, this Kenny Lomas, who's Bampton through and through, I mean he lives at Chadlington now and he come back Saturday to watch us play.
Did he? Yeah.
And he's, what, almost as old as me, isn't he? Kenny is. Then there's Dave Stagg, he died at the age of about 31. He had an illness. Brian Ryerson, he went to Australia, he emigrated to Australia and he actually played professional football in Australia, the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Graham Willis, Michael Smith, Roger Collett, he drives the dustbin lorries round now.
Does he?
Yeah, myself, George Dafter, Simon Goddard is still local, Jimmy Townsend's local, and the coloured lad in there, Stan Orne, he left us after this season and he played for he played for Newcastle United. I wrote it all on here. He played for Newcastle United. Then he got transferred to Aston Villa and he played for them for about 3 years. Then he got transferred to Manchester City, where he met her and married the manager's daughter, and actually got injured and had a big payment out of football and set up his own house restoring business up in the Manchester, Cheshire area.
Yeah.
And the other one is Roger Seifert, who is on everything we got here.
Yeah.
And the other one is Pete Webb and the other one is Rodney Adams, and that's all on that picture.
Thank you.
Now that I think is the first year that Mick was with Bampton Football Club, because we held a dinner in the village hall and the mums and wives done the catering, because we couldn't afford to have a catering firm in to do the dinner. and I bought all the stuff in, and we had a salad and chicken dinner, didn't we, with a dance band afterwards.
Yeah, thank goodness. Who's that pretty lady sat by me then?
That
Who is it
is
my wife.
Is it? Isn't that lovely?
at the back is myself and Jack Lawrence, you can't mistake me. And then there's Dinah Dafter, there's Mick and his wife, and George Dafter and his wife, and that was the people that bought the field.
Yes. Yeah. That was a huge achievement, and I mean a huge step to take, wasn't it? Really.
It was, yes.
Yes.
It was worrying because
Yes, it must have been a huge amount of money for you. I presume you've never done such a thing before.
No sense.
No sense. No, it's just wonderful.
I went home that night and said what we'd done and signed the paper, and my dad never spoke to me for a month because I wasn't old enough to sign the paperwork.
We were basically fundraising already for the football club anyhow, on a smaller scale, just to buy things like kit, footballs, club insurance and that type of thing. So this was just a step up from there, if you know what I mean.
Big step.
Yeah, it's a big step up.
And it is also the days when people did not go into debt.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the same one. Yeah. That is the same one as that one, as one of those. That's the youth team that started us going in the very early 60s. Late 50s, early 60s. And I mean, once we paid for the field,
which took about 2 years, 3 years?
It took just about 2 years.
A couple of years.
Just a couple of years.
Yeah.
Because Mick and Doris was working every Friday night through the year. And we did get a bit of backing from the boys and everything, and then we done that door-to-door collection. If I remember rightly, we had a big Christmas raffle on the Christmas.
Well, any means of fundraising, the normal means really, you know, the raffles, and
jumble sales,
that type.
But in those days, there was no grants. You can go to the lottery people and the FA, and you can get grants these days. But in those days, there was no grants. And I would like to add to this, Bampton Parish Council has never helped Bampton Football Club one bit with 1 penny in all the years I've been attached to it.
Now, why do you think that is? Seeing it's a community thing?
Because a couple of people didn't want us to have a field, was on the Parish Council, I would think.
Couple of the farmers, couple of the rich farmers?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
A couple of the people didn't want it, and I mean we fought against the farmers and everything, and if, as I said, if it wasn't for Mrs. Colville, we wouldn't have it. And we did actually go and see Mrs. Colville about putting Colville's name to the field, didn't we? Colville Park, and she didn't want nothing, no name, no family name attached to it at all.
We have Colville Crescent, don't we? That's the only memorial to that family. Yeah.
But that's more Robert than his mother.
Yes.
Because I mean, the Colville family. If I could, every family in Bampton and attached to Bampton, one person that needs a medal or a thing for doing things is Robert Colville.
That's very interesting.
Because years ago, any family that was in need of things, they always went to the Colvilles and they always got help. And if you want to know about one little footpath around this area, you go to Robert Colville. He's got all the survey maps there, everything. He is a wonderful man. And he's never been truly thanked by the village for what they've done.
Right.
Very good in Bampton, really. In years gone by, and I don't know how many years now, but they actually had the Bampton Bowls Club, diversifying now, but the Bampton Bowls Club playing in the grounds of
Weald Manor. Yeah.
I haven't seen any pictures of that. I've seen the Morris dances, but not the Bowls Club.
And when we was kids, they used to open up the lake for us to go ice skating, the only place in Bampton where you go ice skating. They've done a lot for the village.
That's a good Bampton family.
There's people who had medals and trophies and what have you in Bampton, and they haven't done a quarter what the Colville family's done.
Do you think we should do something about it?
I think it should before Robert dies, because I mean Robert is...
He's 90 now.
Yeah.
He's just had a 90th birthday.
Yeah.
Right, we'll bear it in mind.
I honestly, I mean, his mother Phyllis, you probably...
I didn't know.
No, you didn't know her, and I shouldn't think Janet knew. Did you know Phyllis Colwell?
I met her once.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's a fantastic lady, yeah. But, no, well, getting back to the football club, we sort of got stronger and stronger. At one time we had 5 teams, didn't we? Saturday, Sunday, with men and boys.
Yeah.
And as I say, we've never had no help. Every penny that we've had in the football club has had to be worked for by the football club committee.
Yeah.
And that.
So how should we go then? You've had this great history of success. Until when? Or do you think it's still going on?
No, it was about 70 that a lot of the players then was getting on, and a lot of them sort of packed up playing and what have you. And you had to bring young blood into it, young players into it. And that now, I mean, at the moment the club is going really well at the moment, but we should be hopefully in 3-4 years' time. We should be where we was then, because we're bringing all these boys teams through.
Yeah. What happened in the 70s that it wasn't working? It just...
It did work, but it's just that a lot of other villages started up. I mean, there didn't used to be an Ellscott football team, and they started up, so a couple of lads that played for us from Ellscott went to play for their own village and that, which you expect them to, you know.
And it's one of those things as well where success breeds success. Bampton had, at that time, as Albert said, 3 or 4 very, very good sides. We had one year in particular, I know that I used to write an article for the Witney Gazette on a weekly basis through Mrs. Pickhardy.
Yes, I remember.
And we had 3 teams that went unbeaten for 20 or 30 weeks. I kept writing this little thing in the back of the Witney Gazette, and it got to about, we played 70 games and hadn't lost one, in fact, you know. But these were 3 different teams, all winning leagues, all very, very successful.
And that gives you publicity.
Yes, but
kids are willing to come
because
in.
of that, people were joining us. So hence 3 teams, 4 teams. But we didn't really. We were ever so successful, but didn't want to go into senior football. So we moved from the Whitney District League into the North Berks League, and just carried on where we left off. We won everything that they had to offer. And then I think our own players were reluctant to keep travelling down into Berkshire every Saturday afternoon.
There's a lot of travelling.
There was a lot of travelling involved, so we basically came back to Whitney. A lot of the players by then were getting old, anyhow older, and so the heady days had gone. We're still quite successful, but the heady days had gone. But everything there was to be won in the North Berks League and the Whitney District League.
You won?
Over a period of 10 years was there, everything,
Yeah. So have you got lots of trophies from that time?
Well, I haven't any trophies.
You don't keep them.
Yeah.
You don't keep them. You just have your name put on them and hand them back.
Yeah.
Now, what I have got here, I've done a list out of the things that we have won. We've won the Oxfordshire Junior Shield once, 1968-69. We won the Oxfordshire Charity Cup, 1969-1970. The Whitney District Senior Cup 3 times in 1966-67, 1967-68, and 1999 and 2000. See, now that is when it sort of got going again before they folded up. And then we've won the Jack Busby Cup twice. We won the Fred Ford once. We won the Premier Division Whitney District. That's the top league in the Whitney District. We've won that 2 years. Then when we won that, we then went into the North Berks Football Association, and we won the league and the cup and the charity cup, didn't we? Yeah, we won it all in the North Berks within about 3 years, and we was in the North Berks, what, 5 years at the most?
That's all.
4 or 5 years. Then a lot of the boys was getting fed up with travelling. A lot of them was getting older and packing up playing, and so we came back into the Whitney District. But that is a list of of everything we've won, and here somewhere Bampton won the Whitney District Division 2 in 1932-33. I've got that. so anything we won then, and also besides this 11-a-side football, for 10 summers we must have travelled 6-a-side. We was at football nearly every day. We used to go out as far as Burbage, which is out the other side of Marlborough, and we used to go miles playing 6-a-side football. Well, one year I think we had about 15 trophies, didn't we? Mm-hmm. With 6-a-side and 11-a-side football trophies. So you know, that's a list there of all the things that we've won over the years.
With the photographs.
That's the players that was in the late 40s, early 50s, a list of names.
Yes.
Only if some of them, like Jack Morton and some of them, they get into this website and they see the name on there, you know, they'll know they're not forgot, you know, for what they've done.
I think you're right.
It's another thing that we haven't mentioned yet. I wrote some of it down here because I just knew that Mick and myself, we wouldn't remember it. When we bought the field, we wanted a changing room. So we actually got into one of our lads worked at Ravens and at Filkins, and they used to make chicken and portable chicken houses and everything, and we got 3 chicken houses, portable chicken houses, and put them together and made one
big chicken house.
One big chicken house, which was, well, that's it in the back of that picture there. That's there was 3 chicken houses put into one to do that. And
you put it up yourself?
And we done everything.
Yeah.
It was absolutely nothing. Nobody was ever paid for anything. And then we had that for about 3 years, and I'm not quite sure who it was. Somebody said they see there's some portable bungalows for sale at Tewkesbury.
Prefabs they were.
Prefabricated bungalows. It was made for the families during the war.
Yes.
Anyhow, Jack Lawrence, I phoned the bloke up, and on the Thursday night we went down to Tewkesbury and met this bloke and see this bungalow, and it was £75, but you had to take it down, dismantle it and everything. So me and Jack, we put half each. The club paid it, it was paid back, but we had to pay for it there and then. So we put half each and we bought the bungalow. The following Sunday there was 29 of us, wasn't there?
A lot of people, right?
Yeah, in cars. I worked for the mushroom farm at the time, and I borrowed their big lorry. Maurice Walsh, who runs the kennels now, he borrowed Arthur Beckley's builder's lorry. And we went down there with cars and everything, a convoy of us. We left Bampton at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we got back into Bampton about 8:30 at night with this bungalow on 2 lorries.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
The whole lot, garden gates,
was it?
bathrooms. You had to take the whole thing. 3-bedroom bungalow with bathroom and toilets.
And within 3 weeks, it was up on our. We dug the foundations and we put it up. And
well, how long did that last you?
Oh, years.
Well, that must went on from then till the mid-80s.
Yeah.
And then we put this bungalow up, but the funny part was, we was in the Greenbelt, we had a planning permission, but the bungalow was up in 3 weeks, and I think it was actually about 10 months when we finally had planning permission, and the bungalow had been up, used 1 season. But we got planning permission in the end, and once again we've got no money. The gravel that we dug out of the foundations, we put cement with and put back in.
Yeah.
And put it back in the foundations and done it. And the reason it had to be pulled down was because it was all asbestos, and this asbestos law come in the 80s, and they had to build a concrete block one round the outside and pull the asbestos one down. That was why it was done. But we were one of the few teams in the area that had showers and that.
In those days,
weren't we?
Yeah.
Showers and flush toilets at a football match, you never knew it.
Fantastic.
You know,
I mean, I think your story is a story of perseverance, actually. It's an incredible story. Because you achieved all this without any outside help. Just to move the lads together.
On that,
it's a shame now you're thinking this way. There aren't more people around that were involved, quite honestly, because there were a lot of people involved. I mean, there were the four of us, but there were a lot of people, put a lot of hard work into.
Yeah, well,
you can't get 29 people together now to go on.
I've done this. Exactly, I've wrote a little bit up there about it.
Yeah.
But this is some of the names and they're still in the village now.
This is some of the 29 that went to
get
the
this is the 29 plus the others that helped put it up when we got it back.
Right.
Neville Woodley, Tommy Tanner, John Tanner, Cyril Smith, Frank Smith, Stan Radband, John Rainey, Morris Walsh, Frank Hudson, Roger Seifert, Keith Bishop, Roy Radband, Jack Lawrence, Mick Cleaver, myself, Richard Snoot, Colin Snoot, Mansell John, Jim Townsend, Derek Bowden, Johnny Cassidy, Pete Wheeler, Andy Martin, Mickey Smith, Stuart Painting, Trevor Clack, Kenny Curtis, Roger Curtis, Eddie Imms, Ray Kingston, Derek Bishop, George Seifert, Willie Truman, Tony Seifert, Phil Hewitson and Dave Kite. That's that.
Well, I think it's great that that's on record. Brilliant, don't you?
I sat down here for 2 or 3 nights and I just don't think I've left many out.
Well done.
With it.
Yeah, well done.
I mean, we had some fun with it, didn't we, when we was down there that day? Yeah. I mean, everybody went to pub at dinner time for half an hour, come back, steak and kidney pies in their hands and bottles of beer. Neville Woodley fell through the roof and hurt his leg. Frank Hudson done something to himself, didn't he, down there? And
what time of the year was this?
This was in the summer.
Yeah. Midsummer, I think.
Midsummer. Now all this is teams. Janet, this is some for you. That's the team that actually won the Oxfordshire Junior Shield. Now the Oxfordshire Junior Shield is the blue ribbon of the county, and you get a cheque back from the OFA for winning it, don't you? Yes. Share of the gate money. Yeah. And the year we won that, we broke the ground record attendance on Whitney Town Ground. We had nearly 3,000 people there.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah, there was a time when Whitney Town played a representative side each year from the Whitney District Football Association on the Whitney Town ground, and the proceeds from that actually was spread amongst the clubs in the area. Yeah. But Bampton at that point were so successful that they actually asked us if we would play against Whitney Town instead of a representative side. Would we play against Whitney Town? In fact, which we did. I think we lost, didn't we?
We lost about 2-1, I think it was.
Like that. Yeah.
But bear in mind that the Whitney Town team, every one of them was paid. They was all semi-professional, all being paid. And at that time, Ron Atkinson was their manager.
He was, yes. Yeah.
He was playing for Oxford United at the time as a footballer, and he was actually manager of it. Now, Janet, that is one of the teams that's won the North Berks Senior Cup, but the photograph was taken before the match was actually played. These, Mick, are the same as the one I've given you.
I've got there, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And those 2 pictures are the same, but that's everybody in order, left to right, back row, all right, through to the front row. That cup there
I see it.
is the North Berks Senior Cup, and that is worth more money than the FA Cup that they play for at Wembley, the professionals.
You mean
it's older and it is solid silver, and you have to insure it for about £4,500.
Did you win that one?
Yeah, we won that one.
How did you
twice.
insure it?
We didn't.
But don't tell them.
Reg Pratley kept it locked away in the pub.
That's very nice. What a shame it had to be kept locked away then.
That's a team, that is a newspaper cutting, but underneath is a photograph of it, and the players' names are there. That's one of the cups when we won six-a-sides. That's what we used to go out during the summer, because some places that we went had six-a-side tournaments and also tug of war, and we used to enter both, didn't we? We used to enter the tug of war and the...
Well, I can imagine you being on the tug of war.
Well, yeah, Brian Shaw and myself was the back too.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Brian
Shaw about 23 stone and me about 20, so...
Yes.
Now, this here is actually the present club. Now, I'll just read it out. Trustee is Mick, myself, Mick Dowley, Stuart Painting. Chairman is Martin Older. President is Maurice Walsh. Secretary Paul Tanner. Treasurer Mark Blake. And we run 7 boys teams and 2 Saturday men's teams and 1 men's team over 35s that plays on Wednesday night. If you want to see them playing, they're playing at Clanfield tonight. And also the Horseshoe, we rent the pitch out to the Horseshoe. And all the committee is all there, plus everything else. So
that's what's going on now?
That is the present club now.
Now what happened to this little period when you went down and the thing
Well,
folded?
we went down, we won our trophies.
You folded then?
It's only a couple of seasons.
Yeah, but that was only 3 years ago.
Yeah, mid-season, they withdrew from the league, and the following season started from the bottom, in fact, reapplied to enter the league.
Yeah.
They weren't very keen to take us back, were they, actually?
No.
But they did take us back anyhow and started in the very bottom, and have won and won and won, in fact. So we're 1 league away from now from where we were when we went
so
out.
you're really going up.
Yeah.
But what about, why did it withdraw? Why did it go down so? What happened?
It was just lack of enthusiasm.
Was it?
To be quite honest, it was when we had a trustees meeting at Maurice Walsh's house, and I said that, you know, we ought to try and get it going, and I sort of took it on, didn't I, Mick? Took it on and to get it going, and I went round the younger ones. We lost a lot of the older players that had gone to other clubs and that. So we started off, and we had a chap, Chris Jordan and Andy Green. They have absolutely been brilliant to Bampton Football Club, and they came in with me and Paul Tanner and 1 or 2 more. We got the club going, and we had to really plead with the Whitney District to get back in there because of what they'd done the previous year at that point. Anyhow, we started out, we had to start in the bottom division. We went in that and we won it, and then we come up into Division 2 and we won that last year, and this year we're in Division 1 and we're top of that at the moment.
Fantastic, yes. And whose decision was it to withdraw at that time?
Well, it was there hadn't been an annual general meeting for 5 years.
Oh.
Nobody had done anything. It just been left to Stuart Painting.
There was a period when, well, Albert was probably still involved, but not very heavily involved. But there was a period when there was nobody involved with the original committee at all.
Yeah.
The football club was being run by, well, some of the older members that no longer played football, so they started running the team, in fact.
Yeah.
But their enthusiasm didn't match Albert's, I have to say. And
Albert, I don't think anybody could match Albert's, really.
No. And when things started going wrong, instead of running around trying to put things together, it started one Saturday when they only had 10 people, and then I think they got away with the next game, they only had 10, and then a couple of weeks later, Stuart, I think it was, they couldn't raise a side.
Stuart was at golf, actually.
He just scratched, didn't he? He just
Stuart was at golf. He rang John Shuker up and said we're 3 short, and John didn't bother to get 3 players. They turned up at one match with only 8 players, and then there's some of the other lads said, well, we're not playing in a team of 8, nobody's interested, and it just collapsed like that overnight.
Yeah.
It was just a phone call to the Whitney District, and they folded up.
Got fined quite heavily 2 or 3 weeks in a row, I think.
Yeah.
For withdrawing.
Anyhow, we said that, I mean, Stuart, he was secretary of it. He was groundsman. His wife was treasurer. He'd done the kit washing. He'd done everything. And it just got to the point that Stuart likes his game of golf occasionally because he's too old to play football and that now. And it just got there and they just folded. It's I mean, this is why we're trying to get the football committee at the moment are trying to get Stuart involved with it again, but not in the capacity that he was before, but just to get involved with it because he's a trustee and everything. But I don't know. I don't know whether he will. But
I have nothing to do with it at all. I've been out for years now. Yeah.
Well,
I got involved with so many other things. Something just has to give, you know.
Well, the thing is that I was down in Evesham to work for 15 years, 7 days a week, and I just couldn't get involved with it. And look at it with as on the club's part. I was just off work disabled when it folded, and we had £308 in the bank. That's all they've got. They've done no fundraising for donkey chairs and that's it. And I lent the club some money and they've paid me all back now. And we got off and we got going, and now we've got training lights down there, and we cater from kiddies 8 to over 35s.
So you're on the way back up?
I think we are.
Fantastic. It's a fantastic story. It's a wonderful
story. I think we are. We've now got a chairman that wants to belong to the club, and he is a good guidance.
Who is your chairman?
It's Martin Older. He was village policeman at Buckland for 21 years and he retired in August from the police force, and now he works for the Oxford Fire Service, sort of 24 hours a week, going round to schools and that, sort of with the fire thing. And we got him, and we got the secretary, his husband and wife that we've got, and they are absolutely fantastic.
Who are they?
It's Paul and Karina Tanner.
Right, okay.
It's all wrote down on that.
Okay, lovely.
It's, you know, I mean...
So you've got a good group running.
The thing is, I couldn't go, well Mick could, but I couldn't go back and run Bampton Football Club because it's all about computers and websites and that now, and I know nothing. I just couldn't do it, you know.
Saturday in the old days, from my point of view and Albert's certainly, down the football field at perhaps 8 o'clock, 8:30 on a Saturday morning, marking football pitches out, putting goal posts up, eventually coming home for lunch, and then half an hour later being down at the Jubilee with a minibus to take players all around the countryside, what have you, and then back to the village square quite early evening, and still not finished, then back down the football field, sort of locking up and tidying up.
Getting it ready for Sunday.
Yes,
And for quite a few years.
This was every weekend, you know.
This is a big commitment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where the Cooper shop is, it used to be, it was a butcher shop, and then it was a laundrette, and when it was a laundrette, we used to go in there and wash the kit. Yeah. I've been there till 7:30, 8 o'clock. Some nights putting the kit through 3 or 4 times when it's been so muddy. But it's, you know, I wouldn't, if I could do it all again, I wouldn't change anything, because it was sad times, but there was more good than bad.
That's been your passion, hasn't it, really? Don't you think?
Well,
yeah,
I suppose so.
Excuse us.
But no, it's something worth doing, and it's pity someone else in the village doesn't get out the youth club by the neck and do something.
He sounds enthusiastic, but you can't believe how much work Albert put into Bampton Football Club.
I know it from hearing it.
I do know. You
it.
can't believe how much work he put into it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was Bampton Football Club. There were people coming into Bampton from all around the county playing for Bampton. It's only because of Albert, quite honestly.
Yes.
And because these people were coming and making the team successful, it was rubbing off on the local youngsters as well, you know. They weren't being left out. I mean, they were being involved, so yeah.
I mean, another Bampton boy that done well was Jason Seco, went to Oxford United, but he got injured when he was 17 and finished.
Oxford United footballer of the year, wasn't he? Only a couple of seasons after he left Bampton.
So Bampton somehow produced some good footballers, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, we've. I suppose the thing I'm so pleased about there, I shouldn't think maybe one, even if that is one other club in the county that own their own football ground. Oxford United don't own their own ground. Whitney Town don't own their ground. Kidlington don't own their ground. You name them. And these are semi-professional teams. They haven't got what we've got.
It's fantastic. And Whitney football field is now a car park, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
yes.
that one.
Yeah,
but they've got the one down by the golf course, by the Lakes golf course, see?
Yeah.
But I mean, if it wasn't for the bloke that owns the golf course to back Whitney, I mean, they'd fold tomorrow.
Yeah. So I think Bampton has a lot to thank you for, actually.
I mean,
for both of you, but it's been very important.
Yeah, but you wouldn't, without Mick and his missus, we wouldn't have, without him and his wife, we wouldn't have had the money for anything.
Yes, and the part Mrs. Colville played.
Some villages has football kit and they have a set of kit for 2-3 years. Some seasons we'd have 2, maybe 3 new kits a year, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
We wouldn't have done that
without help.
Without the people, you know. It's like there's a list of names there now. The committee, I mean, the football club's got a bigger committee now than it has ever had in Mick and my day.
So there's more.
I mean, there's 17 people on the committee, and I could ring any one of those and ask them to do something within the next couple of days, and they would do it.
Fantastic.
But I only wish. See, another thing is, this is beside the football bit, but you got the Colville family. Now, I can't sort of thank them enough for what they've done for the football club. But there isn't many other people. Some people's come to the forefront and doing this and that, and they haven't been doing it 5 and 20 minutes. This bloke and his wife, hundreds of thousands of pounds they've raised for cancer, and no one has ever said boo to a goose about them.
Well, they did go to see the Queen once.
Well, but how long have you been doing it? How long have you been doing it? 25 years?
Oh yeah, at least.
Or more?
Yes, more probably.
Yes. I know.
How much you make last year? Over 100,000?
No. I wish we had.
Oh.
No, we didn't. No. We did actually have a little thing going last year that if I forget how much money, but we had a dance in December, and if the dance cleared £2,000, then we had £100,000 raised over a period of 10 years, in fact. But that was just the last 10 years, which did happen. We made 2,300 or something.
That's fantastic.
So that was 100,000.
Yeah.
But we raised, I think, this year about 20.
That's for cancer.
About £20,000 this year. So
yeah, that's very good. Excellent.
It's the thing is it is going to be that money, because we're sort of planning in the near future to have a new changing rooms and a clubhouse down there.
And you're not going over to Tewkesbury with a few trucks to
No, we know our field, we've had our field valued.
Yeah.
The Football Association, we're getting money from the Football Association.
Good.
And we've got to have on paper what the club is worth value-wise. Well, we had to have a field valued.
Yeah.
How much do you think it was?
Well, I'm rather surprised if it's worth a lot of money, because it's still agricultural ground as far as I know.
Well, HSBC Bank valued it, and they would lend us up to 85,000 against it.
Really?
Mm.
Yeah. But then you'd have to pay that back with interest, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
No, the grants would pay that back.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay, yes.
Yeah. If you go about it the right way, like Clanfield Football Ground, they've just got new floodlights in. It's very, very good. £32,000 from the Football Association and £17,000 from the lottery, and Clanfield didn't have to raise a penny.
Right. And have you got a good secretary who's good at this kind of stuff?
We got 2 or 3 very good secretaries, treasurers, and that. And the treasurer we've got at the moment is Mark Blake, and he works for Grant Thornton. Is it Grant Thornton? He works.
I didn't know he worked for him, but there's Grant Thornton.
Yeah, he works for Grant Thornton. Yeah.
Well, no, that's very good news then.
I mean, we're
Very
not, nobody is allowed to spend a penny anywhere without a receipt.
Good.
You know, and Mark's got it going this way.
Yeah, good.
You know, and everything, and
So it's running properly now.
it's running properly, and we've paid all our way. We owe nobody nothing, and we've got about £2,500 in the bank at the moment. In about 2.5 years.
It's well done.
So
it's very, very good.
Every piece of kit that we've got is sponsored.
Yeah.
We've just got Grey Gables Garage to sponsor us for 16 new tracksuits, and Morris Walsh at the Kennels have sponsored us for 16 new tracksuits, and those 32 tracksuits was £972.
Wow. They've all got their names on the back.
No, what they've got, they're jet black, this shiny material, jet black trousers with zips up the side, and the tops are the same as our football shirts, orange and black. And across 16 of them, they got Bampton Kennels, Bampton all over the back of them, and the others got Grey Gables Garage, Curbridge all over the back of them.
Yes.
And it looks smart.
Yeah.
It looks smart.
Nice, yeah.
We played a team from Oxford last Saturday, and one of the blokes with the team from Oxford said it's not right. I said, what's not right? Because Paul Tanner and me was speaking it. I said, why? He said, well, you come here. He said, you must pay your players because they're all turned out there in tracksuits and everything. And everybody pays £3 a game to play for Bampton.
Yeah.
And the kids pays £1 to train and £1 to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
But every match costs us £25 for a referee these days.
Because thanks to Albert, we have a lot of material now.
Yeah, yeah.
But, well, you would have had a lot more if I'd have had everything that got burnt.
It's absolutely tragic. Absolutely terrible.
Because that was, even the deeds of the field got burnt, didn't they?
Yes, they did, yeah, yeah.
Because Trevor Milne Day has worked hard and done it for nothing, got us new deeds and that.
Yes, now he's another chap who quietly does for the village.
Yeah.
Things.
And now,
he does, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
he does.
And now with the rates on the football field was £973 a year, and Trevor said you can get out of paying that. He said you could only need to pay 150. So we said, you know what, and he looked into it, and he's got us backed by a charity now, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
You made yourself into a charity.
Yeah, we made ourselves into a charity,
Same
and the
as the
football
museums.
the rates on the field now is £173 a year.
Yeah, so that helps. Yeah. Right.
But
Thank you very much.